Hey guys, this is Carmela from Salem, Cellar, and I'm with the horror miser Monty G, and today we will be honoring women in horror.
Y'all ready for this? Hey, horror fans! Once again, it is me, the horror miser Monty G. Hey, horror fans! Once again, it is me, the horror miser Monty G. Once again, we are celebrating Women in Horror Month during the month of March, and this time I have the lovely and awesome Carmela from Salem Center. Say hello, everyone, Carmela.
Hi everyone. How are you? Hope everyone's
Yes.
having a good day.
Yeah. I think you. How long you been on YouTube? 2, 3 years now.
For about 2 years, yeah, 2 years.
Yeah. Because I actually caught your channel about the same time when you first started, and I says, "Wow, this is a pretty good YouTuber here." She's bright, she's intelligent, obviously she's very attractive looking,
Thank
and and she knows what she's talking about when she does her. Because I really do love your trailer reaction videos. I thought that was a really got me into your channel right there. So I was very glad to see you on. I decided, just like I did last year when I interviewed four great women of you that have YouTube horror channels, I reached out to you. Now, at the time when I reached out, you didn't know that they actually had a celebration of women in horror films.
I did not know. I had no
Mhm.
idea. I know it was Women's History Month, but I didn't really know about the celebration of women in horror, but it's actually amazing. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, because normally they did it in February, but they decided to move it to March because they didn't want it to interfere with Black History Month. So that's why they changed it over to March. So
Okay.
now that you understand it, what do you think about celebrating women in horror month? That's one of the first questions I asked you. What do you think about the fact that they're now showing appreciation to women who have been in horror films?
I love it. As a woman who loves horror and have I've been watching it horror my entire life, seeing women now in these roles being celebrated, it's amazing to me. I think it's awesome. And I think it was the right move to move it to March. I like,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah, because that's one of the difficulties I had when I started to celebrate Women in Horror Month and Black History Month. I was like, what am I going to do? So
yeah.
one of the things I did was when I first started, I decided to celebrate both Black History Month and Women in Horror Month by focusing on Black final girls of African Americans, because they're really that much. And I always make this question about who was the first African American final girl, and no one really could answer that question. I had to tell them, it was Jada Pickett from Tales of the Crypt Demon Knight.
I was gonna say Angela Bassett, but yeah, Jada Pickett. Did not even think about her in that role being the first. Oh, that's pretty amazing. I did not know that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, because if you look throughout all of horror films, especially when you have black females,
Hmm.
she was actually the first black female final girl.
Hmm.
Because that's why because I had to research that, because at the first I thought about Jada Pinkett, because I was thought about Angela Bassett and
Yeah, Vampire.
Vampire and Brooklyn. I thought about that, but I said, wait a minute, it had to be somebody before that, because I was trying to think of movies that I've seen, and then that's when Jada Pinkett hit me.
Hmm.
Okay,
That's very
so
cool.
so obviously, Carmela, being a woman, out of all the genres of film, why horror? Because most people, when they think of horror, they really don't think about women as being horror fans. They're most thinking about the average men between the ages of 20, 18 to 35 years old. But why horror? What made you gravitate toward horror?
I started watching horror movies. My mom, not she's not a fan anymore. I guess she gets scared easily, but she was a big fan growing up. And my one of my first movies in the movie theater was Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm pretty
Ooh.
sure it was Dream Warriors. And
Uh-huh.
I just remember being terrified, but also being like intrigued. Like I was so afraid of this man with it, with his burnt face and his razor, glove. And I was so afraid, but I was also so intrigued, and it just stuck with me. Like my entire life, I loved Halloween. Big Michael Myers fan. I got into like Buffy the series. Like it wasn't just movies; it was television series too as a teenager. And
Hmm.
Scream came out. I remember being in high school, and that franchise just hit me hard. Like I was already in love, but it took it to like the next level. There's just something about horror. It's just that just like speaks to me. I can't watch rom coms. I can't watch like the stereotypical women films. Like I just can't. I've never seen The Notebook. I've never seen like I just can't do it. I don't know why. There's something about gore and slashers that like speak to me. It's weird. I know.
That's funny because yeah, because most people before they were called rom-coms, films like that were called chick flicks.
Yes.
Yeah, and then now they call them rom-coms. Yeah, but I actually find it fascinating that you gravitated toward horror instead of the average films that most people think females should watch. You
Yeah.
know, it was the you said you watched Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Did you actually see the film that starred Christy Swanson before the TV series, or did you watch the TV series first?
No, I saw the film first and I loved it. I'm like, this is so much fun. I just started to fall in love with vampires. And I loved her character. I liked that it was serious, but not. It was a little goofy. So it was just
Hmm.
a fun film to watch as a kid. And then Buffy, the series came, and that was not so goofy. And it was kind of dark sometimes, but it was also a really fun series for a girl in high school to watch. So that just, but yeah, I watched the movie first.
Yeah, interesting fact because when Joss Whedon was shopping out Buffy the Vampire Slayer, he actually wanted that particular version to be the movie, but
Mhm,
unfortunately he got turned down. And then finally, when they decided to go ahead and help him produce it, they said, "No, we want you to change it to a comedy." So
mhm.
that's why we got the comedy version. And then finally, Joss Whedon decided to pitch it to the WB, and that's when we got the actual serious version of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
That's very interesting. I did not know that.
Hmm.
It
It was
makes sense now.
Yeah, yeah, it was pretty interesting story. I learned out about that a few years back. Because when you look at Buffy the Vampire Slayer, we mostly think about the traditional blonde airheaded girl,
Yeah.
but she's not.
No.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
No,
Do
she's
you?
badass and tough.
Actually, of all the characters I like of Buffy, I was a huge Faith fan. I love Aliska Dushku. I thought she did a fantastic job as Faith. I actually wish they would have made more about her character, or do a series about her, because I think she would be a fascinating character.
Oh my God, Eliza Dushku, I love her. She's so powerful and she's so strong in her films. And I loved her as Faith as well. It would have been nice to get a story about really where Faith came from and really what happened to her over the years, because we just kind of see a little glimpse of it and we see that she's damaged and she's going through something. But I agree with you. It would have been nice to get like her own, like Angel got his own. It would have been cool to have Faith in her own series.
Hmm. Do you think that we needed more TV shows like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, showing a very strong, very strong female-led series, and it actually stayed on for a long time too? Do you think we need more shows showing women, that even whether I would say even adolescent girls or even girls of Buffy's age, and showing that yes, we can actually have a female-led TV show and be successful?
Absolutely. There was like when I was really young, there was nothing really like that. And then
Hmm.
Buffy came out, and then there was Charmed. And these are powerful sisters. They're strong, they're sexy, they're independent, and they're kicking butt. It was nice. It was empowering as a female. Like I don't have to be all out and like the bimbo persona as that's kind of like glorified. You don't have to be that. You could be strong, you could be intelligent, you can be independent, and you can kick butt. So I would definitely need more. We needed more then, and we need more now. I can't really think of too many other shows that um, were similar to those.
Are you a Charm fan or a Buffy fan? Which show did you actually like better?
Buffy was my number one, but I loved Charmed. I love
Hmm.
Charmed, but yeah, Buffy was that's my number one.
Yeah, I got into Charm a little bit late because I actually thought because when they're both on, I really wasn't in the Charm as I was in the Buffy the Vampire Slayer. But I respect what Alyssa Milano, Holly Combs, Shannon Doherty, and darn, the other woman girl escapes me. Um,
Um, Rose McGowan
yeah,
was.
Rose McGowan. I thought they represented. I thought they did a pretty good job. That you could still be attractive women, but also be strong characters in the show. I think that's basically what they were trying to do.
Yeah, I watched it a little bit growing up, but like I really rewatched the season actually a few times, and like in my probably early 30s, and I felt
Hmm.
the show all over it because I think as a grown woman, it was different now. I'm watching
Hmm.
grown women, not a high school teenager, but I'm watching grown women live their lives and also balance like the supernatural world. So it was better as an adult rewatching it. Like I understood more.
Yeah. While I've been doing this year, I think one of my friends, which you'll probably see when I put those videos up, um, she actually made an interesting comment because she said when she first started into horror, she actually saw a Nightmare on Elm Street, and she was actually intrigued because she was young, which I think she was 6 or 7 years old,
Mhm.
and she said Nancy Heather Camp actually inspired her after she watched the film. She said, "Well, if Nancy can do the stuff that she did against Freddie, then I can do the same thing too." And I actually thought that was an excellent point.
Mhm. Yeah, that is, yeah. Seeing like somebody in high school, when I'm in high school or junior high, and you see them make decisions and be independent, but still have like some type of social life, some type of life, it empowers you. It makes you feel like you could do that too. Like the end, the way Buffy ended, and like she kind of, I think she like gave her powers to all women, not just
Hmm.
her abilities. And then you see like little girls like playing baseball, like knocking out of the park, and girls like going against bullies and stuff. So it makes all women, all girls, like just feel like they can do anything. Like I can be strong, I can be powerful. So yeah, I would have to say Buffy probably gave me that, inspired me to be who I am, you know.
Yes. Yeah. So now, basically, I cause put it this way, I've been watching horror films because I'm from this. I'm a '70s kid. I was born. I'm one of the last of the baby boomers, and I was raised in the '70s. So I've seen how women have been portrayed in horror films from all the way from the Universal monsters up until today. So based upon that, what do you think about how far women have come, probably from, like, say, from the old school films up into what we're seeing today?
Oh, it's night and day. Just characters. I would just like the older horror movies that I watch. I see a lot of women like having to show their bodies, having to be a little ditzy, and you don't really get that. I think that's why I love Scream so much because Nev
Hmm.
Campbell she doesn't flash the camera. She doesn't show her body. She's not overly sexualized. You could be a woman and you could be beautiful and sexy without showing anything.
Hmm.
And I really love that we're getting to a place where we have like what was Samara Weaving in Ready or Not. She's a
Hmm.
powerful, strong female, and she's a wedding dress on the whole time. Like you're not seeing, boobs or like she doesn't have to overly sexualize herself to be powerful and be the leading lady and the final girl. I feel like we've come so far, and I love it. I love it.
Oh yeah, oh yes, because yes, basically, when we have the Universal monster films, you typically have the lady, the damsel in distress, where she has to be saved by the virile, strong man back
Yeah.
in those films, as opposed to what we're seeing right now, just like films like Underwater or films like Ready or Not,
Mhm.
or even films like Scream, where we actually have a very strong, very independent woman
Mhm.
make the smart decision and not the dumb decisions, and we don't have to see the obligatory or grotesque nudity that we saw back in the '80s. Goes
Mhm.
back almost every slasher film. For some reason or another, we have to have a woman show her breast. You know,
Yes. Yeah.
couldn't have a horror film about someone exposing themselves.
Yeah. Pretty much.
I know it's like I didn't come to see that. I
Yeah.
want to see a horror film.
I know it turns into like the Friday the 13th remake. I
Mm.
feel like the amount of times I saw a naked girl and like boobs in that movie, it turns into a different film. Like I know Jason's still there. I know he's still slashing people up, but like I don't have to see three sets of boobs. Like one would be a fine, but three, I know men are like, no, they're good. But I just, personally as a woman, just like I don't need to see that throughout the entire movie. It becomes something else.
I know, yeah. Okay. Yeah, so when it I know obviously when it comes to obviously women in when it comes to women in horror, the one of the easiest tropes is the final girl. So basically everyone normally gravitates to either a Neff, Sidney Prescott or Laurie Strode's or even Ellen Ripley. So, out of those other three, because they're one of the obvious ones, what do you
Yeah.
think is the best representation of a final girl outside of those three?
Eliza Dushku in Wrong Turn.
Hmm.
She was an excellent final girl. Samara Weaving, I love her. Ready or Not, she was an amazing final girl. Angela Bassett always comes to mind. Vampire in Brooklyn. Um, what I Mia Farrow. I always like go blank with her. Rosemary's Baby. Uh,
Hmm.
she's probably one of my top, like one of my favorites. So yeah, those were final girls that come to mind when I think of obviously Nev Campbell's the obvious one, uh,
Hmm.
but there's so many. There's Lupita Nyong'o. I always pronounce her last name wrong. Nyong'o, but Lupita.
Lupita Nyong'o.
Yes, yes,
Mm.
she is one of my favorites. I love her. I love her that she's going to be in the new Quiet Place film. She's just strong, powerful, and us. Like she was no joke. Like I loved her character and how she portrayed both. So yeah, she's one of my favorites.
Hmm. So you grew up in the '80s, correct?
Yes, I was
Yeah,
born in
yeah.
'84.
What do you say?
80, I was born in '84.
Oh,
Yeah.
84. Yeah, so I see. So do you think there's a huge difference as opposed to how women were treated in horror films in the '80s as opposed to in the '90s and the 2000s?
I think so, definitely. I think the Friday the 13th films are just what they are. They're, they're known for the flashing and all of that. I think with the main movies like Halloween and Nightmare on Elm Street, I definitely think the way the women were portrayed are, it's grown. It's completely different, and even from the 90s to the 2000s, it's just the women are just so different and they're so independent. It was not like I need a man to save me. Like I'm going to save myself and possibly save the man.
No, yeah, yeah. I actually like the fact that they now made women much more different as opposed to what they did when they started with the slasher films or even in other horror films.
Mhm.
Uh, I think, oh yeah, one of the other things I'm talking about. Do you like the fact that we now see women actually be the villains in horror films now?
I love that. I love that. Like in like the Saw franchise with Shawnee, Amanda.
Hmm.
I love that she was, working under Jigsaw. I love that they're female villains. Like you see it a little bit here and there in the 90s. I know they have in Scream 2, it's Billy Loomis's mother, and then
Hmm.
in the new Scream, you have their roommate who's the spoiler alert, that's the villain. But I love that you're seeing more woman villains. I love it.
I know. Yeah, I think one of the best women villains I've seen so far in films is Rose the Hat in Doctor Sleep.
Yes.
Hmm.
She was I wanted to be her after that film. Even though she did horrendous things, like
Uh,
she was a great villain. She was a great that was a good that she's a great villain.
oh, yes. I mean, when it comes to bad the bad girls in horror films, yeah, definitely really love the fact that I thought she was a great character and was performed very. Yeah, it was Rebecca Ferguson.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Rebecca Ferguson. Yes, I thought she did an amazing job as Rosa Had. I think that's one of the reasons why that I really loved that film so much. Not taking away the performances of the little girl, was this Kylie Curran or Ewan McGregor. I thought they did a good job, but it was mainly basically Rose the Hat that actually took that film. She carried the whole film.
she did. I
Hmm.
agree. She was great. She was that was some movie. And I don't know, like you said, the other performances were amazing, but I don't know if it would have been what it was without her.
I see. So now we talked about, you said how old were you when you first started watching horror films? Were you young or were you a teenager?
I was probably like 5 or 6.
Oh,
Yeah,
what?
I was young watching Nightmare on Elm Street. Yeah.
Yeah, why is it that we're so young when watching? Because I started watching horror movies when I was like 6 or 7. I watched because it's amazing to me because growing up I wasn't into the little kid stuff.
Mhm.
I wasn't into Wizard of Oz or The Sound of Music or anything little kid. My mother thought watching horror films would scare me to death, but I actually found them funny. I just have this morbid sense of humor. But why do you think as young kids that we gravitate towards seeing horror as opposed to the normal kid stuff that people think we should be watching?
I think because it feels like the forbidden, like something we shouldn't be doing. You know how
Hmm.
little kids like sneak and curse, and I just feel like it feels like kind of forbidden. Like I shouldn't be watching this, but I get to watch it. So it's like that adrenaline, that excitement. I think personally for me, that's what I felt because I knew I wasn't supposed to be watching this stuff, uh,
Hmm.
but it was just like it was exciting,
Yeah, because even though obviously watching Universal horror movies were not that scary,
Yeah.
as opposed to like Nightmare on Elm Street, that was real scary. So it was amazing to me because just like I tell everybody else, when The Exorcist came out in '73, I actually snuck into the movies and saw it for the first time, and everyone is amazed by that. And yes, it's true. People did throw up, people did scream, and people ran out of the theater.
Oh wow. Oh wow.
Yes, it was that crowded, and
Mhm.
yes, seeing that experience, at that time, because at that time there was no social media, there was no internet, no nothing like that. It was just people would come up to other people and say, "Did you see The Exorcist? No, you got to see that movie. It's that good." And I said, "Is it true that you get scared shitless?" And people said, "Yeah, you get scared shitless watching that movie."
It's awesome.
Oh man, yeah, that was an experience that most people will never. Everyone gets jealous of me because they, man, I wish I was born in that time. And say, hey, look, my mother warned me, didn't want me to go see it because he thought I'd be too scared. So me and my friends, we snuck and go saw it.
That was probably amazing.
Yeah, I don't think we'll ever get an experience like we did. Probably, I think Jaws matched that
Mhm,
because I don't know why my mother decided to take me and my brother to go see because I have a younger brother, and she
mhm.
took us to go see Jaws when it first came out in the theaters. And yeah, the movies were crowded, but not as crowded as it was in The Exorcist. And yes, seeing Jaws and seeing in that crowd, another great experience, but not as the experience that you probably saw with The Exorcist.
And Jaws definitely feels like it feels real. Like I remember the first time I saw Jaws, I did not want to go into the ocean for a long time, and I
Oh no,
love.
I don't go, no, no, no.
Yeah.
If any horror movie has affected me, it's Jaws. I don't, no, 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 no.
Yeah.
Swimming pools, nope. There's sharks are real. Sharks are real. So no, I do not go in the ocean. Even
Yeah.
though even though I'm the first one to go on the cruise boat. All right. So what led you to decide to create your YouTube channel? What led you to decide to become a YouTuber and especially a horror YouTuber?
So I had my daughter a few years ago, and I was going through a lot of postpartum depression. I work remote, so I wasn't leaving the house a lot,
Hmm.
and I needed an outlet. So my brother-in-law started his a YouTube channel and asked me to be on. They were doing Get Out, a review for Get Out, and then another review. I forgot what we were doing. Oh, maybe Blade. I can't remember, but they
Hmm.
had me on, and I loved it. I loved like talking about movies. I loved the whole experience. So I'm like, maybe I can try it. So I started, but I started small. I started with some reviews, maybe some product reviews. I didn't really know where I wanted to go with it. I just
Hmm.
knew it was an outlet, for me to talk to other people and reach out. And then I started doing trailer reactions, and I just fell in love with it. I'm watching trailers all the time. It's nice watching it and then kind of like conversing with other people about the trailer. And I, from there on, I just continued. But yeah, it was basic. If my brother-in-law didn't start his, I don't know if I would have really had the courage to start my own. I think being on his channel a few times like gave me that little push to do it.
Oh, yes, yes. Now, obviously, as a woman who has a YouTube channel, just like I've seen with other female YouTubers, such as yourself,
Mhm.
obviously Emma from Spooky Astronauts, Vicky from Nightmare Maven, my good friend Lizzie from Candace Carney, all those women's, even Gory from Horror Addicts, who has her own channel, my good friends Jen from Jen's Reviews in the Crave, my good friend Trip from Trivia Theater, mostly all the women that I have, that I've talked to, always have this particular problem about, people not actually listen to what the woman is saying. They just want to make disparaging remarks. So, have you suffered any trolls since you've been on YouTube?
In the beginning, I was getting a few trolls. Nothing horrible, just people picking. They were bored. What had to say something, but I'm lucky enough that like probably the last year or so, I really haven't been getting too many trolls. Everybody's been pretty respectful. Once in a while, I'll get like a comment, like inappropriate comment, like if I have like a tiny bit of cleavage, like somebody has to say something. I'm like, you're a grown man. You've seen boobs. Cleavage is not gonna like chill. It's like,
It's
oh
like,
my god.
I don't know. It's like, come on, dudes. It's like, stop acting like you never seen a pair of boobs before. It's like, come on now, grow up.
Yeah, I'm like, are you serious? So once in a while, I'll get like an inappropriate comment. I don't take it seriously. I'm like, okay, but yeah, I was really worried. I was worried as a woman of color, as a woman who's a little older. Like I
Hmm.
was worried about what I was gonna get, and I've gotten a lot of love, which is really nice. Like
That's good.
a lot
That's
of
good.
love. Yeah.
Yeah, because I love the fact what you do on the channel. You're very upbeat. You're very have a nice personality. I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of people love you, and you've done very successful on YouTube. So, and you, like I said before, all you're doing is just simply just explaining your enjoyment of horror.
Mhm.
And I also love your background because I love the collection that you have in the background too.
Thank you. Thank you.
I
I
see.
know collecting it's definitely dangerous. Like I'm constantly getting boxes of like new NECAs or Toonie Terrors or masks. It's financially it's dangerous.
Yeah, trust me, I know. Now, see, now one of the things what I like to do is, since you're a mother,
Mhm.
because I did this with Jen, because she's a mother too. Says, how old do you think would you let your children to be if you're a mother and you see other parents? How old would you allow your children to watch a horror movie, and what horror movie would you like them to watch if you wanted to get them into horror?
Okay, so yeah, I'm guilty of starting that already. My son is 4,
Hmm.
and it started. Okay, so I let him watch Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Hmm.
And I personally really love that film. I feel like the kill scenes are almost comical. It's like jokey. There's really no gore. And he's was fascinated by. I have the Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I have the mask. I have the gun. I have the NECA figures, the Tuning Towers, and he was just fascinated. I think it's the bright colors, and they look happy and cute. So I let him watch it. And, scenes that I felt like he shouldn't see, I fast forwarded, but he loves it. Like, and
Hmm.
he's my son's autistic, he's nonverbal, and
Hmm.
he's very picky with what he likes. And but it's obvious when he loves something, and he loves Killer Clowns. So yeah, I kind of felt bad for letting him watch it and getting into it, but it wasn't that bad of a horror film, and it's like
It's not. It's not. If yeah,
yeah,
it's sort of a goofy, fun, very colorful film. It's
yeah.
not a lot of gore. You got some. It's kind of over the top of its kills.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I can understand that. Yes.
So that was his first movie, and he's not going to be watching anything else anytime soon. But that was the start, and he loves it. And I have like a big collection of horror, and like my daughter, she's 2, and like they'll see certain things like a mask or something, and they'll growl because they know like this is a monster, like this is fake, it's
Mhm.
not real. But yeah, so that was the movie that I let him watch, and I'll eventually, when my daughter gets bigger, let her watch it. I think it's like an easy entry into being like a horror fan of horror films.
Mhm. No, no. Obviously, as a woman, we're seeing more women becoming more successful behind the camera. You
Mhm.
know, what do you think that's going to be now? As far as, let's say, what type of film would you think a woman would do better as opposed to a male? Like, say, like in some of the revenge rape films that we saw before. Do you think a woman can actually tell that story better than a man could?
I think so. I think it's like half and half. I
Mm,
could, a woman could bring on like the female emotions. Like when I watch movies like that, I don't like it. It triggers me,
mm,
and it's a little rough. It's kind of like one and done for me.
mm,
Um, and I feel like if a woman made one, it would show maybe a different point of view, a different emotions would be shown. But I don't know if a woman can get like nitty gritty with it, like the scenes. I don't know. That's a hard one.
mm.
I would be interested to see a woman do a film like that. Um, but it would be very interesting to see how the emotions would be brought on compared to like when a man does it, and like,
Mm.
you know
Yeah. Yeah, because I think one of the great aspects of seeing a woman director do is whether she's making films like that or even just doing regular horror films. I
Mhm,
think Diablo Cody, because I think one of the big problems that we have with Diablo Cody and Jennifer's body, because
mhm,
that's a prime example. Because obviously, when you look at Jennifer's body, it's not about the makeout scene that Megan Fox and Amanda Siegfried had for 15 minutes. It's showing the destructive relationship between Nene and Jennifer. But
mhm.
unfortunately, the heads of the studio decided that no, let's not market that film because we want to have adolescent and teenage boys go to the film so they can see those two girls make out. But
Yeah.
that's the reason why the film failed.
Hmm.
Mhm. Yeah, no, that's a huge problem that I have because if you, I don't know if you ever saw Jennifer's Body.
Oh yeah, I love Jennifer's Body. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I enjoyed it too. Not because Megan Fox and Amanda made out, because the overall film, because I believe that's one of Megan Fox's best performances.
Hmm.
In that particular film, I thought her and Amanda had a great chemistry together, and it actually showed the destructive relationship because we find out that they've been friends, but they really don't know each other, and we come to find out they really were not good friends at all.
Yeah. Yeah, kind of frenemies. It's a fun film. It's a film like the first time I saw it, I didn't take it too seriously, and I feel like the more I've watched it, the more I actually enjoy it. Like I enjoy the story, the characters, and but I do agree. I feel like that's one of Megan Fox's best performances.
Mhm. Now, somebody asked me this question. I'll ask this question. Do you actually have a favorite subgenre of horror, or do you just like horror, just particular like I do?
I think slashers are my favorite, but
Hmm.
I am a big fan of gore. Not like anything super insane, but I do love gore. Like I love the Saw films. But I would have to say like slashers are my number one.
Oh, okay, that's good. You never saw The Sadness, did you?
I didn't. I was going to, and then I heard a little bit, some details about the film. I'm like, I don't know if this would be my thing. I'm not a big like, like rape in film, horror films. Sometimes it's just a little too much for me.
Hmm.
So I passed on it, but I eventually plan on maybe giving it a try and watching it.
It's not basically about that. It's very gory.
Hmm.
I'll say it that much. It's really not about like say like Revenge was,
Hmm.
or I Spit on Your Grave, the original or the remake. It's basically a very brutal, or I would say even more brutal as opposed to rape and revenge films, but it's more on the gory side, not about the actual performances in the film. Yeah, it's just
Mhm.
very, very gory.
Yeah, I've heard that too. I've heard it was like a real deal core film.
Oh yes.
I'll eventually watch it.
Yeah. So my last question to you is, now obviously, we've seen more, we've seen the success of women in horror films. Obviously, they're no longer the stupid, making dumb decisions and exposing themselves on film to where they're now smart and intelligible. But where we like to see women go into horror films, either in front of the camera or behind the camera.
Oh, I would love to see more women behind the camera. That's when I see a film being directed or led by a woman production company, I want to support it. Like recently, I did a trailer reaction for Easter Bloody Easter, which
Mm,
the main the one of the women in the production company reached out to me, and they're just so hardworking, so amazing, and I think the film's gonna be amazing. But I would love to see more. I would love to see more villains in horror.
hmm
Women villains, that would be amazing, and just more women taking on different types of horror films, like different genres, not subgenres of horror films. Like I
mm.
would that would be amazing to me.
Yeah, because I think one of the two films I saw last year, Birth Rebirth and The Angry Black Woman and Her Monster,
Hmm.
obviously both were inspired by Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. And, even though I had some issues with The Angry Black Girl and Her Monster, I actually thought that the lead female, she did actually did a good job. And I don't know if you saw Birth Rebirth. That was another, obviously, that was actually very good. I like that better. Where you actually had a scientist and a mother join forces to try to keep the woman's daughter alive. One
I
for
think
obvious
the
now,
trailer.
one for obvious reasons because of daughter, but one for scientific reasons. But I actually enjoyed that particular film because here, instead of a man trying to do the typical Frankenstein thing, you actually had two women
Mhm.
in them both films. I actually thought it was a nice twist when it comes to the Frankenstein genre.
I did not see that. I actually wanted to really see that one, and I didn't get to yet. I'm gonna make sure I make an effort to see that one because the trailer looks really good.
Mhm. So yeah, so I want to once again thank you for coming on, Carmela. Really enjoyed you coming on. I wish you much success on your particular channel. Now, obviously, this is going to be airing during the month of March. So, you do have anything special do you have planned on your channel during the month of March?
Just I start. Not specifically. Oh, actually, I'm going to a convention next weekend. So I'll have all of that on my channel. I'm going to take a lot of videos, a lot of pictures. The lineup there is ridiculous. And Tom Atkins is going to be there. He's like one of the people I've been wanting to meet for a while.
Hmm.
So that's coming up. That will probably be up in like the next week or two. But yeah, all my convention footage, pictures will all be up. But just the norm, trailer reactions. I'm gonna be, now that I know, thank you for letting me know that it's the month to honor women. I'm gonna be honoring women on my channel as well.
Hmm.
So just a lot of that.
Okay, and of course, I always like to have my people, when they come on my channel, go ahead and do your sign out.
Well, I want to say first, thank you so much for having me and asking me to do this. And I will be right back.
Yes, and there you go. That is Carmela from Salem Cellar. I'll get that right. If you're not subscribed to this lovely woman's channel, I'll have a link to her channel in the description box below. So please subscribe to her channel. And of course, once again, my name is Lamont Smith, better known as the Horror Miser Monty G. And always remember that horror rules. Now, Carmela and everyone else, stay safe out there.